Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to install this Frigidaire wall oven. Before I go into the installation, what you always want to do is make sure you have your proper PPE gear. All right, so let's take a look at our box. As always, all of our boxes are labeled to indicate the position of the unit on the inside of the box. So we have the front, sides, and we have the back as well. So what we're going to do is go ahead and cut these two straps. Lift up this top portion, see what we got on the inside. All right, so let's go ahead and remove our top cover. Well, of course, we have our unit. We have some protective covering at the top, our tech sheet, and also a trim that's mounted to the bottom of the unit. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and get my unit out of the box and then review my installation instructions, and I'll be right with you. So I have the unit outside of the box. It appears as if our installation instructions are on the inside of the unit. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and remove all of our protective covering and tape them on the side, see if we can't gain access to our installation instructions. All right, so I have all my protective covering removed that will allow me to open up the door now. I can't open it too far because I have my protective styrofoam on the bottom of the unit. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the door. It appears as if our owner's manual is strapped down to the top rack. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut those straps and get it removed. All right, so here goes my owner's manual, my installation instructions, also some mounting screws. So I'm gonna go ahead and review these installation instructions. Give me just a few moments and I'll be right back with you. All right, so now let's take a look at our unit. Let's go ahead and inspect it to make sure we don't have any damages to the unit. Looking at the box, it didn't appear as if there was any dents to the box, so I believe the unit should be in good shape. All right, so taking a look at the side of our unit, we have our spacer. We have one on both sides of the unit. It's very important, do not remove this spacer. The spacer is here to keep the unit centered, to help prevent any type of excessive heat buildup, which will cause heat damage. Right, so let's go ahead and push this unit over to the side, and what I'm gonna do is go ahead and verify our cabinet cutout dimensions to make sure they're adequate for our proper install. All right, so let's go ahead and confirm our cabinet cutout dimensions. Make sure that's appropriate for our unit. We don't want to get ready to install the unit and it doesn't fit. So let's see what we have here. Looking at the width from the top of the front portion of our cabinetry, it appears as if we're running around 29 inches, which is good. All right, so let's go ahead and check our height. Looking at our height, it appears as if it's just under 28 inches. If you run across a situation where your existing cutout exceeds the 28 inches, you can raise the unit using 2-inch wide wood shims. And our depth is around a little bit under 24 inches. Now our depth is very, very important because you want to have it deep enough, which 24 inches is good for our unit. But we want to make sure that it's deep enough so that the top portion of our unit comes flush with our cutout on our cabinet. All right, so taking a look at our junction box. All of our ovens, you have to hardwire them into the home. I am in a commercial setting, so I can't wire this up. I have to use a universal fitting. But in the consumer's home, they may have a 3-wire junction box or a 4-wire junction box. And I will provide images to better help you install those power cords. So for a single wall oven, it calls for, per the installation instructions, a 1/2 inch thick piece of plywood. I went on ahead and installed 2 runners to my plywood as well. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in place. So now that I have my plywood installed, now it's time to slide the unit in. I do have another gentleman here that's going to help me slide it in. We do recommend 2 guys, team lift. You want to protect yourself and your backs. Okay, so we have our unit slid in. It is flush to our cabinetry. What I'm going to do is go and open up the door. and make sure we have a good level on the unit. I'm gonna put my level on the top shelf just to confirm that we level going side to side. All right, that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and move it down to the very bottom to confirm that we are level going front to back. Okay, so that's good as well. All right, so we have a good level. So what I'm gonna do next is go ahead and mount the unit to the cabinetry. All right, so let's go ahead and pre-drill our holes for our mounting screws because we want to protect the cabinetry. We don't want to run the screws and have the cabinet split on us. All right, so let's go ahead and run our mounting screws. Inside that packet, you have a hardware kit that has 4 screws. You have 2 blackhead screws, which are your mounting screws that goes through the cabinet. Then you have 2 silver screws. Those 2 silver screws are for your bottom trim. So let's go ahead and get our 2 blackhead screws out and go ahead and run it through the cabinet. All right, make sure that's nice and tight. All right, so we have our mounting screws in. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and install our bottom trim. So what I'm gonna do first is go ahead and take my door off just so it can be easy access to the screw holes for the bottom trim. Have the tabs on the side, pull these 2 tabs back. Lift the door at an angle. Pull it straight off. I'm going to set this to the side. All right, so you just push your trim on, just match the screw holes up to the ones on the unit. All right, so I'm gonna take my 2 screws that I have left in my hardware kit. I'm gonna go ahead and run the 2 screws in the 2 areas. Give me just a couple seconds and I'll be right back with you. All right, so now that we have our 2 screws in place, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this protective film on our bottom trim. I'm gonna install the door and remove any of the protective film that we have on the door and also the unit, and we should be good for testing. All right, so now that we've removed all of the protective film from the unit, we're going to go ahead and supply power to it so we can go ahead and test it, make sure it works for the consumer. All right, so let's go ahead and test our unit. What we need to do, we have our flashing time. In order to actually get functionality out of the bake and the broil element, we will have to hit our off button. All right, so now it will allow us to go into a bake. Just going to give that some time, let it heat up a little bit and make sure we have some operations out of the heating element. All right, so that should be enough time. I'll go ahead and open it up. Yep. So our bake element is working properly. Let's go ahead and cancel that out. Start our broil. All right, so let's see. Yep, that's getting hot. All right, so we have some good operations out of both bake and broil. Lastly, what I'm gonna do before I leave the consumers home is go ahead and set the clock for them. All right, there we go. So we have another successful install. What I'm gonna do is go ahead and give the information, the owner's manual, and everything to the consumer. The consumer is not available. What you want to do in a newly constructed home, you want to put the information into the drawer closest to the oven.